I want to say a few words about the Parshiot that are going to be read this week. This is one of those weeks where we read 2 Parshas in 1 week. Generally, when there is one Chodesh Adar, when there is one month of Adar, we have to combine to compensate for the lack of 4 extra Shabbatot. We have to combine various Parshiot. And in particular, in Sefer Vayikra, in the 3rd book of Moshe, there are 3 such combinations. One is going to be this week. Parshat Tazria will be read with Parshat Metzora, since they're similar. And then next week again, there are going to be 2 Parshiot, Acharei and Kiddushim. Then the week after will be 1 Parsha, Emor. But the week after that will be again 2 Parshiot, the last 2 Parshiot of Sefer Vayikra, Bihar and Bechukotai. They also read together. Notice that the combinations are usually Parshiot that are, first of all, not so long, so that the reading 2 Parshas will not be extra long. And number 2, they usually have some similarity. There is something in common between these 2 Parshiot. This week for sure, Tazria and Metzora primarily talk about various types of either leprosy or some other skin diseases and other types of uncleanliness that is caused by some kind of a mold condition of some sort, right? It's definitely it has to do with spiritual laws, like all of the sicknesses here, but they also have clearly physical symptoms, whether it's a skin disease, whether it's something that happens to a cloth, or whether it can happen to a whole house. So all of these are somewhat similar, but there are a few other laws also mentioned in our Parshiot that have to do with other types of ritual uncleanliness, such as sperm, the menstruation, and things like that. So these Parshiot are combined together, and I wanted to say a few words about the connection between our Parsha and what we just read before. Last week we were reading primarily about the kosher and non-kosher animals. So it was dietary laws, kashrut laws, what goes into your mouth basically. And now in this parsha we read about what comes out of your mouth. How so? Our sages of course say the word Metzora, even though it's translated often as leper, most likely what the Torah calls Metzora includes all kinds of skin diseases, and maybe it includes leprosy, maybe it doesn't, but it's not exactly clear what are the parameters of all of these things. But the word Metzora in particular, our sages say in the Midrash that it has to do with Motzi Shem Ra. Metzora, Motzi Shem Ra. A person who speaks bad-mouthing others, right? A gossiper. And according to our sages, the main spiritual reason why this particular skin disease was sent, or the group of these skin diseases was sent, a lot of times had to do with tzaraat was sent for bad mouthing, for lashon hara. There were other reasons too. The Talmud tells us all kinds of reasons for which tzaraat was sent. But this was at least one of the primary ones. Ze Torat HaMitzora. This is the Torah of the person who speaks badly of others. Right? He's put under quarantine. He should not be mixing with other people. So in a sense, the Parsha before dealt with what goes into our mouth, what we eat, and the Parsha now deals with what comes out of our mouth. That we have to be careful about how we speak. Of course, the mouth is a holy of holies. It's one of the most important organs we have. There is a lot we could do with words, good or bad. It's a kind of central organ. And a lot of the commandments of the Torah have to do with what we say. Just like there are a lot of commandments about actions, there are a lot of commandments about words. Not to speak in ways that offend others, or not to speak with lies and deceit, kazav, sheker. Right, midvar sheker tirchak, be far from saying anything that's lies. This is going to be next week. I read on the Shabbat after this Shabbat in Parshat Kiddushim. All kinds of laws, not to be a hypocrite, right? Many different laws in the Torah have to do with our mouths. Not to participate in a machloket, in a strive, not to curse others. Etc., etc. So mouth is very important. A lot of laws have to do with the dibur, with what we say. And of course, a lot of good things can be done with our mouths. so many words of helping others, so much you could fulfill the mitzvah of loving a fellow like yourself, using the mouth with the I would say for instance that a person who gives somebody tzedakah, who gives somebody money, but does it with the bad expressions or showing how he's unhappy and how he maybe despises this poor person, he's worse off. His mitzvah is sort of almost cancelled out by his behavior. On the other hand, a person who says nice words, even if he can't help. Let's say a poor man approaches you and you cannot really help him, or you don't have money with you, but you say some nice words and you try to make this person feel better. That may be even bigger tzedakah than actually giving money. Right? A lot of things can be done by what we say. When we visit the sick, when we console the mourners, right? Menachem Avel, what's called, all kinds of laws. Again, with positive things that can be done with the mouth, and of course, the Talmud Torah Keneged Kulam, the learning of Torah, that is considered one of the most important things, the central things. Without Torah, we can't know how to behave. Torah is what teaches us the morals. So Torah is generally done with the mouth. Learning Torah, teaching Torah to others. So the mouth is very important. It can do a lot of evil, it can do a lot of good. And a person who speaks lashon hara, according to the Jerusalem Talmud, what's called Yerushalmi, in the Tractate Pia, in a sense, he's worse off than some of the worst sins, what he is doing. Right? Just like learning Torah is keneged all the great positive things you could do, so too using the mouth for bad mouthing others, for slandering others. This way you actually are doing worse than many of the things you could have done physically against these people. At any rate, the connection between these parshot therefore becomes clear that once the Torah finished with what goes into our mouth, it goes on to say how important it is to keep our mouths clean, and to the laws that what happens to people who don't. Motzi Shem Ra, the people who badmouth others. And on this I'm going to end for today. If you like this video, please press like and please subscribe to our channel.